Other than nutrition, what is the next most important metabolic health factor that people should start dialing in? Well, I had the opportunity to interview 36 carnivore experts at Meatstock 2025, and I got them to answer that question for you. Each of the experts had a unique take on what they thought was the next most important metabolic health factor, and I actually learned a lot from being able to sit down and talk to these people. But that's enough of me talking. Let's dive into these answers.
I think the next thing would be sleep. I think sleep, and then if you're sedentary, don't be sedentary. Those are the two biggest levers, I think.
I'm going to go with quantum biology, exposing yourself to the sunlight, not fearing the sun, and because we are animals natural to this earth, we need to abide by the fact that unnatural artificial lights do not belong in our eyes, TV, computer screen, phone screen. So it's really important to block that out and to also make sure you get the sunrise light in your eyes. That, I think, is so critically important for mitochondrial health. It will make a big impact on your sleep, which is also extremely important for the success of reaching your health goals.
Circadian health. You know, first I want to say exercise, but honestly, if you're not getting your circadian health right, your light exposure, then you're not prioritizing your hormones, and then you're not going to get the results you want. So circadian health, which absolutely does affect metabolism, that would be the next thing.
So the next thing to focus on is sleep. So a lot of people don't really focus on sleep, but many carnivores who are dialed in, they're sometimes 2, 3, 4+ years into their carnivore journey, and they're still wondering, why is the weight not losing? How come my energy is not as high as all of these carnivores are rave reviewing about? Don't forget about your sleep. You need to make sure that you're sleeping really well and you're staying asleep. And sometimes if you're waking up in the middle of the night, that's good. That could be a reason. That could be from not eating enough fat, not nourishing enough, and maybe a little bit too much stress in your life. So what I like to do is put away those devices 2 hours before bed. I know you can do it. You don't need to be scrolling and doom scrolling right before bed, right before your body wants to wind down and do the most important task of all, which is repairing and sleeping. So put away those devices, and then when you wake up, I highly recommend, instead of waking up and immediately going back to that blue light, get outside into that beautiful natural sunlight and get that light onto your bare skin and bare eyes.
I think it is really important to get some sunshine and some movement and to get some time to de-stress. I also feel like the movement and the sunshine helps so much with sleep, because that's really important. So how about the one thing would be take a sunshiny walk, because now you're gonna sleep better, you get your vitamin D, you get in a little movement, it's de-stressing. I find that a nice sunshiny walk is, yes, that's it. Eat meat, take a sunshiny walk.
I actually think that they should work on the mindset and internalize the concept and idea of carnivore. Listen and learn from so many other influencers out there that basically are teaching each and every one of us the experience of what it's like. Then your brain begins to understand it, and then your body will follow. So ultimately, the mindset is the most important part. Get to know what you want to be, and then your brain and body will believe and understand that that's what you are already. So ultimately, faith, which means your thoughts create everything in your life, and that's the simple answer.
Maybe like their drinking water. There's a lot of, like getting a reverse osmosis water filter, I think is important. I mean, you're putting so much water in your body, even like showering and stuff, there's a lot of chemicals that can get into your body that way. So I guess like the water could be a big one. I also think that moving your body is really important. It doesn't have to be like Sean Baker hard, but moving your body is important, more important than people think. Just walking, stretching, because you don't want to lose that muscle mass as you age, and even stretching is going to help you maintain that.
All the other aspects of health which are important, diet is probably the most important thing, but things like movement, exercise, some people don't like the word, but we need to be active. Inactivity is a major risk of cardiovascular disease. That you should focus on that. You should focus on sleeping well. Better if you're not sleeping well, right? That's very important, and managing stress.
I think the next step for people should be exercising, getting movement in, checking your sleep, checking your circadian rhythm. I think it's important to have less stress in your life. Carnivore makes less stress. Carnivore makes things easier to deal with. And my mental clarity is better than it's ever been. So things will get better naturally, and then you can focus on some of the other things.
I would say before and after carnivore is sleep, which I struggle with. We all struggle with, but focusing on quality sleep, put the phone down at night, turn the computers off, get the blue light out of your life, and then, cold, dark room. Yeah, sleep is fundamental.
I wanted to pop in here real quick to thank today's sponsor, Element Electrolytes. Element is an electrolyte brand that has 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. Now, I'm typically using their raw unflavored packets, but they just came out with this lemonade salt limited edition flavor for the summer. Holy smokes, is it delicious. It reminds me of being a kid. We would do lemonade stands every year, and just that fresh, delicious, ice cold lemonade flavor, it brings me back. I'm loving this flavor. Right now, Element is offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order, so you can head to the link in the description. It's drinkelement.com/Jenny Mitich. That's DRINKLMNT.com/Jenny Mitich and get your free sample pack with any order today. This will probably be around for the summer and then it'll be gone. So be sure to pick up a few boxes of this. The raw and flavored is awesome. I also really like their sparkling waters.
I really believe in the 4 pillars of health, and so I think the next thing is stress reduction. For me, that was a big one. And I didn't realize how important it was until I wore a CGM for a couple of weeks and saw my blood glucose go to 140 for no reason at all, other than I just had a bad conversation with somebody on the other end of the line for work. I was blown away by what stress does to my blood glucose.
I'm really all about 3 core pillars to life and thriving. So we've got metabolism, we've got the food we're eating, the fuel that we're putting in our bodies. We've got movement. Movement is so important, so we need to be doing daily movement, as well as mindset. For me, you could be eating, pure carnivore, and if the mindset pillar is wobbly, I really do feel like that impacts us a lot. So mindset, staying in alignment with self, honoring our values.
Get outside, love the sun, walk around, take your shoes off. I feel that people for their health need to go smile at people and say hello, because we don't do that anymore. I actually talk about that. That's way more important for me than the sun, but yeah, get your sun. But no, go say hi to people, talk to your Starbucks person. I hear people with depression and anxiety and they're doing carnivore and it's helping a bit. We gotta remember that we're human beings and we need love and interaction. You walk around Walmart and you see people, they're so unhappy. First, they're eating the wrong food, but we forgot that we're like a community of human beings and we need to love each other. I always love to say hi to people and smile. I feel like it makes their day, and maybe that will then, in turn, they're gonna go pass that on and say hi and smile at somebody else. We need to remember the love for our brothers and sisters as humans, and it's as simple as just have a conversation, say hi.
Exercise and sleep, I think, are the next 2 biggest ones that you want to have dialed in. Exercise is not something you can always do right from the beginning as hard as you'd like, so that's going to change over time, but get your sleep dialed in, make sure you're getting your sleep, and other things will fall into place.
I think movement is a really important metabolic issue for people, and when I say movement, I don't mean you have to go to the gym and kill yourself every day. I mean, if it's hard for you to stand up out of your chair, do it 5 or 10 times a day. Do it as many times as you can. If you can't do squats, do some chair lifts. If it's heavy to pick up a jug of milk, pick up a jug of milk 10 times. Whatever feels like physical effort for you that gets your body moving, do a little bit of it every day and just try to increase it a little bit every day. And as you feel better and can push further, keep doing it.
I would say mental health. I don't think we realize how much our brain has to do with the actual physical well-being of our body. And I think that can really affect your metabolic health if your mind is not right. So guard against your mental health. Get off of Instagram, get off of Facebook, go outside, move, whatever, but unplug as much as possible.
Exercise and moving your body, letting that blood flow through with the right nutrients, moving throughout your whole body to include your mind to help give you optimal health.
I would say use some of that mental clarity that you now have to develop a mindfulness practice to add into your general health.
You know, honestly, it's organs. And I'm all about the whole animal, and I know a lot of times when people first go down that carnivore path, they're just focusing on muscle meat. So then I would say next step, start to incorporate more of that animal, whether it's in bone broths, that could be the tongue. It doesn't have to go right to liver, it could be beef tongue, then go to maybe heart. You know, focus on the parts of the animal that are closest to muscle and then ease into the other parts like the kidneys. I mean, you can go as far as like what they call Rocky Mountain oysters, which is the testicles. You know, you can go all the way, but just ease into it because you have to shift your palate because they are slightly different flavor and they're slightly different textures.
Once you have your nutrition locked in, I feel like a lot of other things open up and it's like, okay, what can I tweak next? So, you know, doing the morning light, doing the grounding, getting your exercise in, lifting weights, and, you know, digging deeper into the spiritual side of things and even like your self-talk and the gratitude and the story you're creating in your head. Yeah, just doing the inner work and having positive self-talk, and instead of speaking out loud your struggles, instead of like, oh, I'm struggling to lose this weight, say, I am happy, I am healthy, I'm strong, I'm at the ideal body weight. You are the placebo. Your words are powerful.
Once your diet's dialed in, you need to make sure that you have sleep dialed in. If you're not sleeping, you're not healing. And if sleep and diet are dialed in, you must start lifting weights. You need resistance training in order to build that muscle mass. That is your organ of longevity. That is your overall organ of your whole metabolic health. So do not sleep on putting on muscle mass.
So I think movement would be really important, and it doesn't have to be something really strenuous. You don't have to go running. You don't even have to lift weights. You just have to go for a walk. So if you can just make yourself go for a 15-minute walk after each meal, or if you can fit in 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the evening, or just 30 minutes just at some point during the day, that's going to make a difference.
After someone is fully carnivore, I think what they need to do is look at their goals. If it's weight loss or mental health benefits, intermittent fasting can be a real tool in the toolbox to allow you to achieve those goals. Intermittent fasting for weight loss will rev up your metabolism, will help you really get in tune with true hunger and true satiation that sometimes is lost on a regular, sad, standard American diet. And someone who is looking for mental health benefits, intermittent fasting is really important because it gets you into the state of ketosis so that you are burning ketones and you will have brain dysfunction and brain fog lifting very quickly. And you'll learn to understand the benefits of balancing fasting with then breaking that fast and then feasting.
I think people should look into their sleep and ensure that they're not too stressed out, that they are not exposing themselves to tons of light. That would be next, would be sleep.
Circadian rhythms, movement, and addressing your spirit. And I can't emphasize enough on addressing the spirit. And that means addressing your trauma, addressing your nervous system, focusing on gratitude, adjusting your energy, getting really into that healing space. Because whether you are losing weight, losing inflammation, or just trying to become a better person, you've got to address the mind and the spirit. And a lot of people think that if they just do this carnivore diet, all their problems are gonna go away. So you have to think of ourselves as humans and spiritual beings.
Movement. You've got to move. And I'm not saying you have to spend 2 hours, 5 days a week in the gym, but we need to move. A little strength training is great, 2 or 3 days a week, and then just move zone 1, zone 2. So that means low level. If you think your heart rate below, say 180 minus your age, that's your top heart rate. So it could be from a brisk walk to walking up a hill to a fun game of frisbee or just riding a bike. Leisure movement daily is going to help you with getting your mitochondria, making more energy and tapping into that fat you want to lose and building more mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of the cell. More mitochondria means more fat being burned, and in that range of exercise, you are maximizing your fat burning capacity per minute.
Something that's probably non-traditional to say. I really do think that the power of thought is far more impactful than modern day science likes to give it credit for, because it's not easy to measure. In fact, it's almost impossible to measure, so I don't have very much hard data on it. But I think something that's truly changed my life, is I wake up in the morning and I give myself an hour to 2 hours of time to stretch, but then to also get in the sunlight and then listen to things that make me feel happy. And then I write down all the good things that happened yesterday. I do all of that before I start my work, before I talk to people, and I start work at 7:30, so I'm up at 5:30 doing that. It creates almost like a force field around me of good feeling, goodness, and I think it changes the way I interact in my day and my health too. So you're kind of using the mind and the body together to achieve, overall health, because a lot of times health is in the mind. It really is. You get people that get stuck in these healing kind of cycles. They're always healing. For years they're healing. It's like you can be healed if you change the way you think, let's say.
Lifting weights. Did I stutter? No, because especially for women, increasing your muscle mass, especially as you get older, is so important. It helps prevent osteoporosis, it keeps you mobile in your older age, and just buffering that now is gonna give you so much more metabolic health long term.
Once you get the diet, I think the most important thing is to think about what's going on in your mind and the stress that can be created there. Sometimes that seems unrelated to metabolic health, but the reality is when you're stressed out, you're producing cortisol and adrenaline, and that's dysregulating your blood sugar and causing all kinds of issues for your metabolic health.
I would definitely say stress. I think stress is very underrated. Obviously that sets off inflammation, fight or flight response, your nervous system plays such a huge role in your overall health. Work on your mind to heal your body should be a foundational approach to obviously living optimally, but if you're looking to heal, it's very difficult to heal if you're not in a good place mentally. So working on retraining your brain, you could do different exercises like meditation, visualizations, being with community, obviously finding good support from people. Really try to immerse yourself in community and find support and just work on your mental health.
I think strength training can be absolutely important. You need to do some kind of resistance. You have to use your muscles. So it doesn't have to be hardcore. You don't have to be in the gym, 3 times a week. I dance. That's my strength training, and that's good enough for me. I've been able to build muscle that way. Some kind of movement, something that you enjoy, something that's sustainable. If it's a slog, if you hate it and you're not going to keep it up, then absolutely not. You should not be in the gym 3 days a week if you hate it.
I am a big movement girly, and this does not mean that you need to train for a marathon. This does not mean that you have to pick up heavy weights if you're unsure about form, but you need to move your body every day. And so after we nail the nutrition, diet's first. We have to walk before we run, no pun intended. But I want you to move your body. I have a thing I do on my Instagram every single day. I take a poll and I say, have you moved your body today? And for me, that has been everything for my mental health along with my physical health. And the beautiful thing about this is you can habit stack. So I love a podcast, and I do not let myself listen to a podcast until I'm moving my body. And so pairing the two together has made me learn to love walking and getting out in nature. I would say bonus points if you can move your body outside, or just get moving and you're gonna feel incredible.
So I'm gonna say sleep is number one, and it's also probably the hardest one for some. For me, sleep didn't come with carnivore, it got worse. But the thing that I found was stop eating earlier. So if I was doing an eating window, I adjusted that to be morning and dinner, and that morning and late lunch, basically. And that helped my sleep by an hour per night.
And my big thing would be get outside. Get outside in nature, whatever that looks like where you're located. See some trees, get your feet on the ground, get some sunlight in your eyes, and just get out and de-stress in nature, even if it's 5 minutes.
With carnivore, well, you're going to want to make sure your electrolytes are good and you're getting enough sodium. You need to be thinking about potassium and calcium. So if you get a little wobbly, it might be that. You want to be hydrated and try different hydration approaches and make sure that you're sleeping well and you're not getting leg cramps and all of that.
That's a great question. So once you got all of that clear, I like to say carnivore leads to fasting. That's the important part. Now, remember, carnivore first. You've got all that dialed in. You're eating 3 meals a day. You're feeling really good on that. Can you go 2 meals? And how does that feel? You're gonna feel the hunger levels, which is good because you've been carnivoring right. You wanna feel the hunger levels rise and then lower and then rise again, all with low intensity. Then you know you've got it right. Then you got fasting down right. Then you test it out a little later on with a 23 hour. You're taking your time in all of these progress. But fasting is evolutionary and it will enhance our health. It's not about weight loss. We do it for an increase in health.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like or hit that subscribe button. They're both free and easy ways you can support this channel. I'd also like to mention that my book, Complete Carnivore, is available for pre-order. This book is a complete in-depth guide to the carnivore diet along with 80+ carnivore recipes. There's something for every carnivore, whether you're a newbie or a seasoned vet. Pre-orders are super important for new authors, and I'm trying to get this book onto every bookstore shelf in America on release day. Pre-orders are the best way that we can make that happen. If you'd like to take your support a bit further, pre-ordering this book is the best way you can do it. Thanks again to all of my carnivore experts. Meatstock 2025 was amazing. And you know, if you want to be in a room with these carnivore experts, you need to be at Meatstock 2026. I'll put a link to it in the description. You can use code Jenny to get $50 off your conference ticket. With that, I'll see you in the next video.